What's up guys, this is Thekephas. I am legally blind and today I'm going to tell you about my experience in art school. Whenever people find out I went to art school, they often say things like, why would you go to art school? I mean, art probably isn't the best profession for someone who's legally blind. I often wonder if these are the same people that ask, why don't chickens fly? I mean, they have wings, herp-a-derp. I don't know, I just like art. I mean, when I was in high school, I used to draw stuff. Like, I used to do a lot of freehand drawing of, like, goofy anime characters, and people liked it, and, like, people used to give me, like, their lunch money for my drawings. I was like, hey, cool, whatever. And I used to take Photoshop classes, and I did pretty good in all of my art courses in school, so, you know, I thought, hey, art's the thing I like to do, and I like computers, so, hey, let's give it a shot. I mean, I don't know, I guess I was a little concerned that my vision would be a problem, but, I mean, there's more to me than being legally blind. I mean, I'm a little creative and a little weird, and we all know that art school is full of a bunch of creative weirdos, and we wouldn't have it any other way. So, I gave it a shot. I went to a community college, and I enrolled in a 2-year course called Visual Communications, and I was really excited. The first quarter was great. I did a lot of perspective drawing, which was fine as long as I was close enough to see what I was drawing. And I was doing okay. I mean, there was a couple times where my work was put up on display, which made me feel really special. One thing I'm not good at is drawing a portrait. And if I'm not close enough, things get pretty rough. Well, one time I had to draw a portrait and I wasn't sitting very close. I mean, for me to see somebody, I've got to be really, really close. And I was nowhere near where I needed to be. And the portrait looked terrible. And I didn't get the greatest grade, but the funny thing about it is, the drawing was a pretty good representation of what I saw. So, give me a little bit of credit for that. I also did some drafting, which was cool. I mean, as long as I took my time, I did okay. And printing and page layout, that kind of stuff was great. Pretty much anything I did on the computer was very comfortable because I could see what I was doing, so I was fine with all of that. And I really loved doing things on Illustrator and Photoshop and InDesign and those programs because it was a lot of fun, and I didn't feel like I was being as limited when I was using the computer. So I was learning stuff, and I was comprehending the material, and my skills were improving, and I was a good drawer, and I was creative. However, my limitations did start to pose a problem because even though I could draw well, I wasn't very good at folding things in half. And I can't tell you how many times I nearly cut my finger off with an X-Acto knife. And every single presentation had to be mounted on these stupid blackboards. You had to use this rubber cement and then put it on the board at the right location, and since I can't see worth a dang, this was like impossible. So I would often get docked points because I couldn't get it on the board properly. Which I can't blame them. They did not make exceptions for me because I had a vision problem, and I don't think they should have. One thing I will tell you is, even though you have a visual disability, the world will not make exceptions for you. And I don't expect it to because I don't make exceptions for myself. So whatever. And then there was transportation, which was a really big problem, because I had to rely on public transportation. Now, where I live, you can either take a cab, which is ridiculously expensive. You can take the bus, which is, if you're visually impaired, really hard, because A, the bus stop was nowhere near where I lived. B, if you can't read the maps, how do you know where you're going? And C, if the freaking driver doesn't tell you where he's at, how are you going to know where you're at? It was horrible. So I got enlisted in this program called Project Mobility, which would pick you up from your home, take you where you needed to go, and then later come back and get you, bring you home. Sounds great on paper, not so great in action, because I was stranded so many times I didn't know what to do with myself. And then there were times where I would get home really, really late. So like, class would be over at 4 p.m. I'd be getting home after dark around 9 p.m. because they were so late. It sucked. And then, really bad, I was late to class because, again, they suck. I nearly failed 2 classes because my professors weren't very understanding. It was stressful. So looking back on art school, I can't complain, and I have no regrets. But after a year, I looked back and realized that maybe this wasn't the best thing for me. I mean, if I can't do the work perfectly, then I don't need to be doing it at all. But again, absolutely no regrets. I love art, I love being creative, and I have a greater appreciation for design. Plus, it's come in handy for some pretty good side jobs. It's made me a better person. I love being weird, and I love sharing my weirdness with other weirdness people. And that's just a small glimpse into the life of the legally blind. This is Thekephas. Waka waka.